Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Regular viewers will know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today we're taking a brief look at the Fujifilm X-H1. Now this was their flagship APS-C camera. They don't actually make full frame cameras, APS-C and then medium format. Now I've got a really big range of a Fujifilm APS-C cameras, and I've recently purchased the X-H1. I got it at a really good price, so it seems silly not to get it. And this is just a really quick overview of my initial thoughts on this particular camera. Now I purchased it with a battery grip, and there was a good reason for that, because it was such a good deal. I tell you now, it was a fantastic deal and I couldn't refuse it. I tend to use it when I go out taking photographs. I've only taken it out for one day, so this really isn't a review. It's more of an introduction, what I felt during that one day of using it. And my initial thoughts are absolutely awesome. I love it. I've actually got the Fuji X-T3 and I've got the X-T2. The X-T3 is actually filming the close-up shot that you see here now, and that's fitted with the 60mm macro lens, 90mm, can't remember, one of the macro lenses. It's an f2.4 and I've got it at its widest aperture, fitted with a ND filter to get it to its widest aperture. And then behind me I've got my Fujifilm X-T2 here recording to my Atomos recorder, the wide shot, that's fitted with a 10-24. So I am big into the Fuji ecosystem. Now the X-H1 is quite a departure from the X-T2 and the X-T3 in that it's got a much bigger grip, and this grip is lovely. This grip, I tell you, I went out for a whole day and it was a real joy using this camera because of this grip, and I could walk around with it like that. Absolutely fantastic. You know, very pleased with that grip. That's what it's sort of enticed me to want to get the X-H1, was its handling. Now the X-T3 is an awesome camera and I'm really glad that I purchased it, and I get tremendous results with that. It is a 26 megapixel APS-C camera with no anti-alias filter, same as this has, but this is a 24 megapixel camera, so just slightly less. I believe, according to rumours, it's the same sensor that's in the X-T2 and in the X-T20 that I have, and in the X Pro 2, which I also recently purchased. So you can see I'm big into Fuji, and I love the colour science of Fuji, and that's another thing that really attracted me to the Fujis. Now everyone says their JPEGs that come out of the camera are outstanding. I shoot JPEG and RAW, and the great thing with the X Pro 2 and the X-H1, the X-T3, X-T2, all their Pro cameras have got the twin SD card slots on the side. Now that is tremendously beneficial because I record RAW onto slot 1 and JPEGs onto slot 2. So I have got the backups as JPEG if I need them, and when I'm out and about I can very quickly review them on my laptop without having to convert the RAW files. So that has a lot of benefits for me. Whether it would do for others, I don't know, but it does for me. Now on the X-H1, it's quite a departure for Fuji. It is a bigger camera. It's bigger than the X-T3. I don't know if it's heavier, but it's certainly bigger. It probably is heavier, to be honest. It's bigger because of a bigger grip, and it's heavier because it's got in-body image stabilization. It's not just relying on the image stabilization built into the Fuji lenses, because not all Fuji lenses have image stabilization. For example, this one doesn't. A lot of people are saying one of the lovely things about Fuji's is the retro look, and I've got many friends that point it out as well. They actually think I'm, not with this camera, but with the X-T2 or 3, they think I'm going out with a film camera as opposed to a digital camera, which is quite comical really. But on the top plate of the X-H1, you've got this awesome, I say awesome, it is awesome really, sort of an ink display. And that is very modern, that isn't retro. You can change the turn it on. Yeah, actually, while it's off, it's always on, even when it's off, which is quite unique. And it's quite clever because you can see battery, you can see how many shots are remaining, what card slots are being used. And you can actually change the info that is displayed on this screen. You can go into the menu and change the info. I'm in the photo mode now, so it's displaying that I'm in shutter priority, f16, ISO is set, and what have you. And you can change the colour of the display, so you can see there that's changing from a sort of a grey background to a white background. White, I think, is probably more visible. The other thing on the X-H1, traditional with Fuji's, you've got your shutter speed dial on the top there, and then you've got your ISO, lockable ISO dial on the top. That's lockable as well. And they've taken away the exposure compensation dial, which makes sense because obviously that's where it normally is here. If you look on other Fuji's, such as the X Pro 2, on the top plate here, it's got the exposure compensation dial just there, but they can't put it on the X-H1 because of this display. So what they've done, they put a little function button just here, and you can set it to either hold in and turn the back dial for adjusting the exposure compensation, or as I've got it set, just push it in and then turn the dial, and that'll adjust the exposure compensation. It's got obviously hot shoe on the top, which I don't use. 2 SD card slots on the side here. We've gone through that. 2 SD card slots. On the back, you've got your traditional tilty-wilty screen. Pretty common with most cameras. It hasn't got an articulating screen like the Canons do, but you know, hey ho, just put a little monitor on the top. It's touchscreen, which is useful. I tend not to use the touchscreen, but it has got a touchscreen. It's not very responsive. I find it's not like the Canons and a couple of the Sonys, not many of the Sonys, but I find it really irritating. So, but you can actually use it to touch the focus, so it'll move a focus point. You can use it for playing back your images, which is that's quite nifty. So you can spin through your images just by doing that, and then you can just tap on an image, and then that'll zoom in. So when you're playing images back, the actual touchscreen is responsive and it's very useful. I tend not to use it while taking photographs. I much prefer what Fujifilm have implemented is the the jog dial here. I find that works brilliantly. So you can move that according to your focus point. And also you can adjust the size of a focus point to be pinpoint, or you can go completely wide and let the camera choose, you know, where it wants to focus. And it is accurate. I mean, the focus is extremely accurate on all the Fujis, pretty much all of them. And that's one of the reasons I love using Fuji. I haven't got the best eyesight in the world, and I do rely on autofocus, and it does nail it. So that is tremendous. The eye autofocus is very good. I don't think it's quite as good as the Sonys. I've used the Sonys extensively, and the eye autofocus on the Sonys is phenomenal, but it is extremely good on the Fujis. So you know, I'm happy with that. It is, as I say, an APS-C 24 megapixel APS-C sensor. The images that come off this camera are absolutely superb, and I say that with reservations because I've only had it for a couple of days, so I've not been able to fully test it like I have done with my X-T3. But knowing how good Fuji sensors are, I have no doubt that the images long term will be very rewarding. And I've actually achieved some really, really nice images just going out and about taking snaps. I say taking snaps, but I've got great dynamic range within these images. They're sharp, the colours are great. And I say the colours that come off the Fuji sensors are very, very, very good. But what I really love is great image quality and great handling. And this alone creates a camera that has great handling. The controls are tactile. The only thing that I'm not overly keen on, I'm not overly keen on all the Fujis. Well, all the X-T2, the T3 and the X-H1 is switching between photo and video. Now, I've used many cameras. I've used the Sonys, I've used the Olympus, and the Olympus was by far the best. The Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II was great because that was very quick and easy, and I was able to assign a function. Well, it was actually the lever on the front to set that to video. So one would be photo mode and one would be video, and the settings would be completely different, but not on this camera, not on the X-T3 or the X-T2. When you go to video mode, which is fine, it stays at the same shutter speed and aperture you had for photo mode, and that's frustrating because then you have to adjust everything again. You have to then turn this, turn that down to in the UK 1/50th of a second, adjust the shutter speeds to, the aperture. It's all a bit of a pain in the butt. Now, Fuji have introduced a silent mode called silent, which means it's adjustable via the screen, and that is fine and dandy and does work, but it's fiddly. I do find it's fiddly. I've got that set up on my X-T3, and I do find that fiddly. I haven't set it up on this one yet. It is, it's okay, but the problem being, if you're using it as a hybrid camera, it isn't fast. So if you see something and you want to quickly take a video clip of what you've seen, it's not just a simple matter of switching over and then taking the video, because all the settings have to be reset. Or if you're using the screen, you have to go, fiddle with that, and it's a bit annoying. But I'm happy to put up with that, because generally what I do, I'm either filming or I'm taking photographs. So to me, it's not an issue. But I know for some people that will be an issue. That you can't swap very quickly, and also you've got to look at this dial to exactly where you're putting it. So a minor downside, but for me it's more irritating than it is a deal breaker. Certainly not a deal breaker. I wouldn't have so many Fujis if it was a deal breaker. So that's a brief introduction to the Fuji X-H1. Love the handling. I do love these tactile controls. It's got enough function buttons. It's got the function buttons on the back here. As I say, one of my favourite things is moving the focus point around using the this control here, this jog thing, and setting up to, setting the focus point, and then you can move it wherever you want to move it to. And I absolutely, love the feel of the Fujis. It is very similar in handling to the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II, because that's got a big grip, and I love that big grip. That to me is one of the biggest issues. This ink display on the top, I tend not to use it a lot. It's not a major feature for me, but I know it can be for some, because you can very, very quickly look at it and think, oh, I need to adjust that setting, or that's right, and the fact that it stays on when it's off, I thought it would drain the battery severely, because these batteries are not the best, but it doesn't. One thing I need to mention, the reason why I got it with the grip, if you're using this as a video camera, you will need the grip, just like with the Fuji X-T2. Without the grip, the camera has got a mic input. It's got a mic input on the side there, but no headphone jack, which is a bit bizarre really, but the X-T2 was the same. Luckily on the X-T3 they fixed that and put the headphone jack and microphone jack on the body of the camera. But on here, it's only on the body. You need to get the grip for a number of reasons with video. It's not an issue with photos. I was quite happy wandering around taking photographs with it without the grip. But with the grip, let's just put that on. The grip is obviously quite a bit bigger, but it does give a nice chunky feel to it. It's actually getting to the size now of a DSLR, and I think that is a bit of a shame really. But But there you go. But you need the grip anyway, because the grip has got the headphone jack on the side, just on the side there. It is the headphone jack just on the side. But importantly, as well as taking an extra 2 batteries for giving you extended power, so you've actually got 3 batteries in here now, it extends the record time from 15 minutes to half an hour, basically 30 minutes. It doubles your record time, but you can record on the internal cards. I tend to output to an Atomos Ninja 5 or my Shogun, Atomos Shogun. So again, not a major issue for me, but as I got it at a really good price with the grip, the headphone jack is a major issue. The other thing with the Fujis that really frustrates the hell out of me, and I've had somebody actually ask me the question on my channel, is they've got an X-T3, and when they plug an external monitor into the X-T3 or anything into the HDMI port, they lose the headphone output on the body of the camera. And the guy's completely right. He hasn't got a faulty X-T3. The X-T3 does do that, and so does the X-T3. I suspect the X-H1 will do exactly the same. But the minute you plug something into the HDMI port, an external monitor, obviously, particularly, you lose the ability to monitor the sound through the camera. And that is crazy. That is really bonkers. Because there will be people plugging some monitors in that have got no headphone jack. So then you really are knackered. You're back to not even having a headphone jack, and it's really odd. So the guy that asked me that question is completely right. The X-T3 and the X-T2 does block out the headphone jack when you plug an external monitor into it. So you have to use a monitor that has got a headphone jack. And you have to fiddle around with the settings on the monitor to get the volume up and blah, 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 you know. But there we go. I suspect this will do the same. I haven't tested it yet. So that's the Fuji, a brief introduction to the Fuji X-H1. Love the camera. I'm loving my initial results. There will be a further in-depth review on this once I've had a chance to use it more. The weather's been so crap here in the UK that I've not had a chance to get out and use it. So that is the X-H1. I really do hope you enjoy my channel. I enjoy doing these reviews. And I know a lot of people do get a lot of pleasure out of them and a lot of helpful information out of them. So thanks very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and hit the like button and tell all your friends. I really would appreciate that. It makes it well worthwhile doing these videos. So once again, thanks for watching, and tune in to the next video. Thanks again. Bye.